in the peaceful, mountain-ringed town of Noorabad, where streams flowed like silver ribbons, lived a young lantern maker named Azaan. He was a true artist, crafting exquisite lanterns from delicate glass and smooth bamboo. Everyone in town admired his work, but for Azaan, something always felt missing. He had a small, cozy house, friends who were as loyal as family, and enough money to live without worry. Yet, he was convinced that true happiness was just out of reach. One evening, as he polished a particularly beautiful golden lantern, he let out a long sigh. If only, he whispered to himself, if only I had a grand shop in the city, with dozens of workers and my name known far and wide. Then I would finally be happy. He didn't notice his neighbor, old Hakim, a wise and gentle man, loved by all, listening from his garden. Hakim smiled warmly. "Send my son," he said, his voice soft as the evening breeze. "Light shines brightest where gratitude lives." Azaan just shook his head, a little frustrated. "Hakim, I need a bigger life, more than what this small town can offer." The old man simply smiled, a knowing look in his eyes, and said nothing more. Not long after, a powerful storm swept through Noorabad one night, plunging the entire town into darkness. The wind howled and rain lashed against the windows. People, desperate for light, rushed to Azaan's small shop. He worked tirelessly through the night, and by the time the first light of dawn broke through the clouds, he had sold every single lantern he had. The commotion had attracted the attention of a wealthy merchant from a nearby city who was passing through. Seeing the crowd and the quality of Azaan's work, the merchant approached him. "You have a remarkable talent," he declared, his voice full of authority. "Come with me to the city. I will build you the largest, most magnificent lantern workshop in the entire region." Azaan's eyes widened, sparkling with disbelief and excitement. This was it. The moment he had been dreaming of. His wish was finally coming true. True to his word, the merchant set Azaan up in a grand workshop. Soon, Azaan's name was on everyone's lips. He became famous. His workshop was a hive of activity, with workers crafting lanterns day and night, shipping them to cities far and wide. He had everything he had ever wanted: wealth, success, and popularity. He was the most celebrated lantern maker in the land, and yet something was wrong. A hollow feeling began to grow inside him. His vast workshop, filled with the constant sound of hammering and cutting, never felt like home. He was a boss, not a friend. His workers respected him, but he was always too busy, too preoccupied with orders and accounts to share a kind word or a simple conversation. His new house was a mansion, vast and opulent, but it felt cold and empty. He ate the most expensive foods, but they were tasteless on his tongue. Each night, after the workers had gone home, he would stand alone in the silent workshop, surrounded by hundreds of glowing lanterns. He would stare at their beautiful, intricate designs and wonder, "Why do I feel so empty? I have everything I ever wished for, everything I thought would make me happy." He tried to fill the void. He bought the finest clothes, the fastest horse, and decorated his home with gold and jewels. But the more he acquired, the emptier he felt. The bright, ambitious smile he once had slowly faded, replaced by a permanent line of worry on his brow. One cold afternoon, feeling exhausted and more alone than ever, Azaan couldn't bear it any longer. On an impulse, he saddled his fast horse and rode for hours, the wind whipping at his face, till he was back in the familiar, winding streets of Noorabad. He found old Hakim sitting peacefully outside his small cottage, a kettle of tea brewing over a small fire. The old man looked up and smiled, as if he had been expecting him all along. "You have returned," Hakim said, his voice calm and welcoming. Azaan dismounted and sank onto the bench beside him. He felt the tension in his shoulders begin to ease, just from being near the old man's peaceful presence. "Hakim," he whispered, his voice cracking with emotion, "why am I still so unhappy? My dreams, they all came true. but my heart feels so empty. Hakeem didn't say a word. He simply poured a cup of fragrant, steaming tea and handed it to Azaan. The warmth of the cup spread through his cold hands. Then Hakeem reached for an old, simple clay lantern sitting by his door. He lit the small candle inside. It gave off a soft, gentle glow, but somehow it felt warmer and more comforting than any of 1,000 brilliant lanterns in Azaan's grand workshop. "This lantern," Hakeem said softly, holding it up, "costs almost nothing. It is made of simple clay, but when I light it, it fills my small home with peace. And you know why? Because my heart is grateful for its light." He turned his kind eyes to Azaan. "You've spent all your time chasing bigger and bigger things. A bigger shop, more workers, more fame. You were so focused on what you didn't have that you forgot to cherish the blessings you already had. A grateful heart can find immense joy in the light of a single, simple candle, but an ungrateful heart will find only darkness, even when surrounded by 1,000 lanterns." Tears welled up in Azaan's eyes and streamed down his face. In that moment, listening to the old man's simple wisdom, he finally, truly understood. It wasn't about the size of the light, but the thankfulness in the heart that held it. Azaan returned to his grand workshop, a changed man. His heart, which had felt like a cold, empty room, was now beginning to fill with a new warmth. He walked through the workshop, but this time he saw not just workers, but people. He greeted each one with a genuine smile and a kind word. He thanked them for their skill and their hard work, acknowledging the part they played in his success. He didn't abandon his business, but he changed how he ran it. He also reopened his old, small shop back in Noorabad, where he himself would craft the simple, beautiful lanterns he first learned to make. He learned that true happiness isn't found in having more wealth, more fame, or more possessions. It's not a destination you arrive at. It's a treasure you find within. It lives in a heart full of gratitude, in the simple act of appreciating the good things we already have, big and small. Because a heart filled with thankfulness shines brighter, warmer, and more beautifully than 1,000 golden lanterns. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories that inspire and uplift. Till next time, take care.